The chamber of the Galactic Council was not usually this silent. The great hall, shaped like a shining dome of crystal and metal, was built for endless debates and loud voices. But today every seat was filled with worried leaders, and every eye was locked on the giant hologram at the center. The image showed a dark shape moving slowly through the stars, a shape so massive that it blocked entire sectors of light. It was not like any warship they had ever seen. It was something far beyond their designs, something older and stronger. The whispers in the chamber all spoke the same word. Terran, for centuries, Earth had been silent long ago. Humans had spoken at the council, but then they withdrew, refusing to join wars, refusing to bow to empires, refusing even to trade their secrets. The galaxy thought Earth had become weak. Forgotten, some said they had destroyed themselves. Others said they hid on their blue planet, too afraid to rise. Now, as the dark shape approached, those old stories felt foolish. Because this ship did not look weak, it looked like judgment had come. The council leader, a tall alien with silver skin, raised his hand for calm. His voice echoed across the hall. This cannot be real. No records mention such a Terran ship. Perhaps it is a trick, a projection, a weapon stolen and rebuilt. His words trembled despite his effort to sound strong. Everyone could hear the fear in his tone. A commander from the reptilian clan stood and hissed, "That is no trick. My scouts report the ship's hull is larger than 3 of our dreadnoughts combined. Its surface is black metal that resists all scans. Our instruments fail to measure its energy. Our fleets cannot even lock weapons on it." His scaled hands shook as he pointed to the hologram. "This is no illusion, this is a monster." The hall erupted with voices. Some shouted for war, demanding that the ship be destroyed before it came closer. Others argued that to fire first would mean doom. A few, the oldest among them, sat in silence, remembering old warnings, remembering that Terrans had always hidden their true strength. A counselor from the avian worlds whispered, "They told us once, do not test Earth. Do not invade Earth." We laughed, we ignored them. And now, his voice cracked and he said no more. The hologram shifted as the unknown ship moved again. Stars blinked out behind it like candles snuffed by a great hand, even though it was still far away. Its size made it feel as if it was already pressing against the council walls. The silence returned, broken only by the hum of projectors. No one dared to breathe too loudly. Another counselor stood, a short insectoid with glowing eyes. If this is truly Terran, then why show themselves now? Why reveal such power after hiding for centuries? His wings buzzed with unease. They could have come quietly, but instead they arrive with a ship so large it speaks louder than any words. What message do they bring? No one answered. Because no one knew. Some believed the Terrans wanted revenge. Others thought they wanted peace but carried power to force it. A few feared they had come to conquer. The possibilities hung over the chamber like heavy chains. The leader slammed his staff against the ground. "Order, we will not be ruled by fear. We must decide, do we send our fleets to intercept? Do we prepare defenses or do we open talks?" His eyes swept the hall, but the responses were chaos. The reptilian commander shouted that only fire could protect them. The avian counselor demanded silence and patience. The insectoid begged for scouts to be sent again. The silver leader felt control slipping from his hands. In the back of the hall, an elder from the water worlds finally spoke. His voice was soft but carried through the dome. "When I was young, my teacher told me of the humans. He said they do not show their weapons unless the choice has already been made. He said if ever a Terran warship comes to you in silence, then you are already standing at the edge of history. This ship is not a question, it is an answer." Those words froze the chamber. Nobody argued, nobody shouted. They all turned to look at the massive black shape in the hologram. For the first time, the Galactic Council truly felt powerless. The unknown ship was still moving closer. Steady and slow, it did not send messages, it did not fire, it only came, and its very presence was enough to shake empires. Some leaders lowered their heads in despair. Some clenched their fists. Others tried to hide their fear behind sharp words, but the truth was clear in every heart. The galaxy had mocked Earth, they had laughed at humans. They had believed Terrans were small. Now the laughter had died. Now only silence remained. The counselors waited, their eyes fixed on the growing shadow. Each second felt longer than the last. Would it attack? Would it speak? Or would it simply hover there, forcing them to tremble? The council leader's hands gripped his staff so hard his knuckles turned white. For the first time in his rule, he felt truly helpless. And as the chamber sat in silence, The shape of the Terran Titan Warship filled more and more of the stars, until it seemed the galaxy itself belonged to it. The Council had gathered to debate, but now there were no debates left, only fear, only silence, only the shadow of Earth returning. And the first encounter had already begun. The black warship drifted closer, its presence pressing like a weight against the galaxy itself. The alien fleets that surrounded the Council station shifted uneasily in formation. Dozens of ships from every world circling like nervous birds around a giant predator. No one dared to fire, no one dared to speak on open channels. For many long minutes, the void was filled only with the slow hum of engines and the soundless approach of the Terran Titan. The hull of the warship was unlike anything the galaxy had known. Its surface reflected no light. It seemed to drink the stars, swallow them into its endless armor. The vessel was so vast that even the Council's most advanced dreadnoughts looked like fragile shuttles beside it. The holograms inside the Council chamber showed a vessel shaped like a mountain, forged from shadow and steel. Weapons bristled along its sides, towers of cannons, rows of missile bays, and unknown structures that glowed faintly with energy patterns no sensor could identify. The reptilian commander of the fleet hissed orders through his comms. "Keep distance, do not approach too close. If it moves, fall back." His words echoed across the command channels, but even he sounded as though his throat was dry. None of their ships could match this one. They all knew it. In the Council chamber, silence had become unbearable. A young avian delegate with golden feathers spread her wings nervously and whispered, "It does not speak. Why does it not speak?" Her words carried fear. The Council leader forced calm into his voice. "Because it does not need to. Look at it. Every moment it remains silent is a message. That is the language of power." The ship drifted into orbit above the Council station. For the first time, its scale became truly clear. The station itself was one of the largest in the galaxy, yet the Titan's shadow stretched across it like an eclipse. Lights flickered across the station's surface as power grids strained to keep steady. Civilians inside pressed their faces against viewports, terrified, whispering prayers to their gods. Some thought it was the end of the galaxy. Others thought they were witnessing the rise of a new empire. In the command bridge of one alien cruiser, a captain whispered to his crew, "Do not fire unless ordered, do not provoke. This ship could end us with a thought." His hands shook as he held onto the arm of his chair. He had fought battles before, he had seen death and war, but never had fear like this touched his bones. Back in the Council chamber, the insectoid delegate struck the table with his clawed hand. "We cannot wait forever. We must know their purpose. If this is Terran, then let them speak. If not, let us strike first and prove they bleed like all others." His glowing eyes darted toward the hologram, yet even as he shouted, his body leaned back in fear. His words were bravado, nothing more. An elder from the crystalline worlds raised her voice, calm and heavy. "Do you not see? They are showing us something. They are saying we cannot move without them. They orbit us as if we are already their subjects. To strike now would mean the death of us all." The hologram shifted again, magnifying the details of the warship's armor. The scanners tried again and again to pierce the strange plating, but every time the results came back void. No readings, no heat, no weaknesses. It was as if the ship was not built by hands but grown from the void itself. At that moment, the Council leader's staff buzzed with an urgent message. A fleet scout had managed to get within close range before retreating. The report was short. "Shields are beyond measurable limits. Weapon systems are active. The Titan is not alone. Multiple energy signatures remain hidden nearby." The message ended with static. The hall filled with gasps. If this was true, then the giant ship was not the only one. There were more. The silence turned heavier. One counselor muttered, "If one Titan could make us tremble, then a fleet of them could rule the stars." Another answered, "Perhaps they already do. Perhaps they waited until now to show us." Fear swelled like a wave through the chamber. Out in orbit, smaller alien vessels began to creep closer. Daring to test the Titan's patience, a dozen frigates and 2 cruisers extended their sensors, beams of light crawling across the black hull. The ship did not react for a brief second. Courage sparked among the alien captains. Perhaps it was only a show. Perhaps it was not truly as dangerous as it looked. Then the Titan moved, not fast, not violent, but with slow, absolute certainty. A massive panel on its side shifted, revealing glowing lines of blue-white energy. The entire galaxy seemed to hold its breath. Yet the ship did not fire. Instead, a soft pulse spread outward. invisible to the naked eye but caught by every sensor. The pulse swept across the alien frigates, and in an instant their systems collapsed. Engines went cold, weapons powered down, lights flickered and died. The ships drifted helplessly, powerless in orbit. In the council chamber, panic erupted. Some counselors shouted in fear, others demanded an immediate retreat. The reptilian commander hissed so loud his voice cracked. It disabled them without a shot, without a single shot. His words echoed into silence. Nobody could deny it now. The Terran Titan was not just a warship. It was a message carved into steel. The council leader's hands shook as he gripped his staff. His eyes were wide, his voice dropped low. They do not want battle, they want us to understand. They are showing us they could crush us without effort. And yet they have not. That is worse than attack. That is the power of choice. Every being in the chamber felt the same chill. For centuries they had laughed at Earth, ignored Earth, dismissed humanity as nothing. Now humanity had returned, not with words, not with armies, but with a single ship that made empires tremble. The first encounter had become more than fear. It had become the beginning of submission. And as the Titan hung silently in orbit, its black hull swallowing the stars, the Council finally realized that their galaxy was no longer theirs alone. Earth had come back and the rules of power had changed forever. The silence after the disabling pulse stretched on like an eternity. The alien fleets hung powerless in orbit, their lights flickering, their weapons dead, their engines cold. It was not destruction, but it was worse. It was a show of power so controlled, so effortless, that no commander in the galaxy could deny the truth anymore. The Terran Titan had not come to fight. It had come to dominate without firing a single shot. Inside the council chamber, the tension was like a storm. Delegates shouted over one another, voices rising in panic. The insectoid slammed his claws against the table, sparks scattering across the floor. This is war, do you not see? They disable us now. They will destroy us next. We must rally all fleets, every empire, every world. Strike before they enslave us. His glowing eyes burned with fear disguised as rage. The avian delegate spread her golden wings and shook her head. You fool, if they wanted to enslave us, we would already be dust. Look at what they did. They could have killed those ships, but instead they left them alive. This is not war. This is warning. Her voice quivered, but her words cut deep into the chamber. The council leader struck his staff against the crystal floor. His silver skin shimmered under the chamber lights. Enough, we will not descend into madness. We must wait for them to speak. Perhaps there is reason in this. Perhaps. He stopped because in that moment, the chamber lights flickered, and a sound none had expected filled the air. It was a voice, deep, steady, human. It carried across every channel, through every comm, into every ear of every ship. This is the Titan Warship. Earth is watching. Just 8 words spoken with calm weight, yet the effect was like a thunderclap. The insectoid stumbled back in shock, his wings folding tight against his body. The avian counselor pressed her feathers against her chest as if her heart would burst. The reptilian commander hissed but found no words. Even the council leader, who had lived through a dozen wars and seen countless powers rise and fall, felt his knees weaken beneath him. The voice continued, slow and measured. You laughed when we withdrew. You mocked when we stayed silent. You thought Earth was gone. But Earth was building, Earth was watching. And Earth remembers. The council chamber fell into frozen silence. Not a single delegate dared to breathe too loudly. The words carried no anger, no shouting, but there was weight, a promise behind every syllable. The human voice was not threatening. It was worse, it was certain across the fleets. Captains and crews exchanged terrified looks. Some whispered prayers to gods who had never answered them before. Some stared at their disabled ships in despair, wondering what chance they ever had. The reptilian commander managed to force his voice into the chamber. We cannot allow this. They speak as if we are children. They threaten as if the galaxy belongs to them. We must not bow. We must strike while we still can. But the hiss in his throat betrayed his fear. His words rang hollow. The human voice returned, louder now, filling every mind with its clarity. We do not seek war. We do not seek conquest, but know this, if you bring war to Earth, you will find not one Titan but many. You will find fleets born of steel and fire, and you will learn the cost of arrogance. Whispers broke through the council chamber, dozens of voices overlapping. Some asked how many Titans existed. Some wondered if humanity had built an entire armada, Others feared that Terrans had not come alone, that behind them lay weapons the galaxy had never imagined. The crystalline elder, her body glowing faintly with inner light, stood with slow grace. Listen to them, this is no boast. I have seen empires make boasts before. They always raise their voices, always scream their threats, but this voice does not scream, it does not need to. They speak as rulers who already own the battlefield. The council leader felt his throat tighten. He gripped his staff as if it could steady his shaking hands. His eyes scanned the chamber. If this is true, then the galaxy has already changed. We must decide not if we can stop them, but if we can survive beside them. The insectoid delegate slammed his claws again. Never. We are the council. We decide the fate of the stars, not them, not Earth. But even as he spoke, his antennae trembled, his voice broke. He looked more like a cornered animal than a leader. Meanwhile, outside, the Terran Titan shifted slightly in orbit. Its movements were slow, deliberate. Every alien eye watched in terror, expecting the storm, expecting fire, but the ship did nothing more than rotate, turning its colossal hull until its forward weapons faced the galaxy's greatest station. It was not an attack. It was a reminder. One last silent statement of who held power here. The human voice came once more. Softer this time, yet somehow even heavier. We have returned. The galaxy may choose peace, or it may choose war, but Earth does not fear either path. The channel went silent. The words remained hanging in the air, echoing in every mind. No one in the council chamber moved for a long moment. It was as if the galaxy itself had stopped breathing. Then panic erupted. Some delegates cried for surrender, shouting that they must open peace talks immediately. Others demanded mobilization, insisting that if humanity was allowed to rise unchecked, no race would be safe. A few sat frozen in shock, unable to speak, unable to think. The council leader raised his staff again, but his voice cracked as he shouted for order. His people looked to him for strength, but even he could not hide the tremor in his body. For the first time in history, the council realized it was not the one holding judgment. It was the one being judged, far above them. The Terran Titan hung in orbit, unmoving. Its black hull swallowed the stars. Its silent presence weighed on every soul below. The encounter was no longer a mystery, no longer a question of who they faced. They knew now. They faced humanity, and humanity had returned not as a whisper, but as a storm waiting to break. The council chamber fell into silence once more, and in that silence every leader, every soldier, every citizen across the stars knew the same truth. The galaxy had changed forever. The Terrans had spoken, and the echo of their words would haunt every empire from that day on. The council chamber was still shaking from the human message. Delegates argued in panic, fleets scrambled to recover power, and yet the Titan remained motionless in orbit, its black hull swallowing the light of distant suns. To some its stillness was mercy, to others it was mockery, but to everyone it was unbearable. The reptilian commander leaned forward over the communication table, his scaled fists clenched. We cannot sit here. We cannot wait for them to strike. I will send my forces to test it. His voice hissed like a blade drawn across stone. The council leader tried to silence him, but already orders were being passed through encrypted channels. Fighters and probes launched from alien carriers, tiny sparks of courage flying toward the massive shadow above. The chamber's screens lit up as the fleet's attempt began. Drones raced first, small and quick. Their scanners locked on the Titan's hull. Their signals bounced back, broken and empty. The ship gave no readings, no weaknesses. It was like trying to scan a black hole one by one. The drones short-circuited and vanished from sensors, not destroyed, simply erased. Then came the fighters. Sleek, agile crafts darted close, weaving in tight formations. Missiles locked, energy beams charged. The alien crews held their breath. They fired. Dozens of glowing streaks shot across the void and smashed into the Titan's hull. But nothing happened. No flare of shields, no impact sparks. The missiles simply vanished against the armor. As if the ship had swallowed them whole, gasps filled the council chamber. The reptilian commander slammed his clawed hand against the table. Impossible, no armor can do this. But his voice shook as much as it roared. The Titan remained silent. It did not move. It did not answer. For a moment, the council thought perhaps this was the end of the test. Perhaps the Terrans would let them try and fail. But then, without warning, the ship pulsed. It was not a weapon blast, not a beam of fire. It was a single ripple of blue light that stretched across the void like a wave in water. The fighters froze in mid-flight, their engines going dark, their weapons lifeless, their pilots helpless. Within seconds, the entire formation of alien ships was drifting powerless through the stars. The council chamber erupted again. The insectoid delegate shrieked in terror, slamming his claws against the crystal floor. They play with us. They do not fight. They do not kill. They humiliate us. The avian delegate spread her wings wide, her feathers trembling. No, they are warning us. This is mercy. We must see it for what it is, but even she could not hide the fear in her eyes. On the fleet command channels, panic spread, captains shouted, engineers worked frantically, but nothing restored their systems. The Terran pulse had disabled them as easily as one might blow out a candle, and still the Titan had not fired a single true shot in the council chamber. The crystalline elder spoke with a low, heavy tone. They have shown us that our weapons are nothing. They have shown us that resistance is a dream. What remains now is choice. Will we face them with wisdom, or will we doom ourselves? The reptilian commander snarled, baring sharp teeth. Wisdom, bah. They come with shadows and silence. They disable fleets as if we are toys. What wisdom do we find in bending our necks? I say, strike with everything. Summon the armadas, call the outer colonies, drown them in fire. His words carried fury, but his eyes darted constantly to the hologram of the Titan. He was not convincing even himself. The council leader raised his staff high. The chamber quieted, his voice shook but carried weight. We have tested them, we have failed. Do you not see? They allowed us this attempt. They let us measure ourselves, and they let us fall. This was not war, this was demonstration. Humanity has returned to show us what they are, and then the Titan moved. The chamber screens flickered as the massive ship rotated slowly, turning its colossal flank toward the council station. Panels shifted along its side, opening like the wings of some great mechanical beast. Rows upon rows of cannons unfolded, their barrels glowing faintly with dormant energy. Towers of missile pods rose from the armor. Ready but still, alien delegates screamed in fear. Some fled the chamber, others pressed their hands to their faces, expecting death in the next second. But the weapons did not fire. Instead, one enormous cannon lit up with a white glow, power built, brighter and brighter, until it looked like a small star was being born on the ship's side. The council leader gripped his staff so hard the crystal cracked. This was it. This was annihilation. And then the beam fired away from the council. It stretched across the void, a line of white fire tearing through empty space. Striking an uninhabited moon nearby, the surface cracked open, molten rivers of stone spilling into space. The moon split in half, breaking apart like fragile glass. The shockwave rattled every ship in orbit. Alarms screamed, and silence fell once more. The council watched in horror, in awe, in silence. The Titan had fired not at them, but beside them, a warning, a demonstration, a promise of what it could do. The human voice returned, calm, steady, unshaken. This is restraint. Remember it. The council chamber erupted into chaos once more. Some begged for immediate surrender. Others demanded retreat to their homeworlds. Some argued that negotiations must begin at once, but deep down all knew the truth. There was no fight left, no fleet strong enough, no empire powerful enough. The test was over, and the result was clear. The Terran Titan had proved its power beyond doubt, and the galaxy would never forget the sight of a moon split in two with the casual fire of a single gun. The council leader sank back into his chair, his silver skin pale. His voice was almost a whisper. We thought we ruled the stars, but we were only children playing with fire. The real masters have returned, and high above, the Titan Warship drifted silently, its black hull swallowing the stars. Waiting, patient, merciful only for now, the galaxy held its breath after the moon split apart. Fragments of glowing rock drifted into the void, scattering like embers from a dying fire. Every ship in orbit trembled from the shockwave. Yet the Terran Titan remained still, unshaken, untouched. It had fired once, not at the Council, not at their fleets, but at a dead world. The message was clear. The humans had chosen to show power without spilling blood, but the destruction they hinted at was beyond imagination. Inside the council chamber, chaos reigned. Some delegates shouted for surrender, their voices trembling with fear. Others called for retreat, claiming they must flee before the Titan turned its gaze toward their homeworlds. A few still cried for war, but their voices were weak, drowned by panic. The council leader slammed his staff against the crystal floor until cracks formed. Enough, we will have order. His silver skin shimmered as his eyes scanned the chamber. Do you not see this was not war, this was warning? They could have fired upon us, they chose not to. The insectoid delegate hissed with fear, his antennae twitching. Warnings mean nothing. Warnings come before chains. If we bow, we will never rise again. The avian delegate spread her golden wings wide. If we resist, we will never rise at all. You saw the moon split like clay. You saw our fleet silenced. What hope do we have against that? Her voice cracked but carried truth. The crystalline elder, glowing faintly with calm light, lifted her hand. The Terrans did not return to beg for war. They came to remind us they are showing us restraint. If we misunderstand this moment, if we answer with violence, then we will doom not only ourselves but the galaxy entire. Still, many counselors were unconvinced. The reptilian commander snarled, his fangs flashing in the light. Restraint, Ba, that ship is no diplomat. It is a predator circling its prey. They will not be satisfied with warnings, they will demand tribute. They will demand surrender. His claws scratched deep lines into the table as he growled. Better to fight now while some chance remains. Yet even as he said it, his tail flicked nervously, his eyes never leaving the image of the Titan on the chamber's screens. As debate raged, a quiet sound filled the chamber. Not thunder, not a blast, but the soft hum of power. The Titan had shifted again. Panels across its hull opened, and faint blue light began to rise into the void. At first, the Council thought another weapon was charging. But then the light spread outward in a vast circle. Stretching across orbit, it was not an attack, it was a shield. The shield shimmered faintly around the warship, larger than any protective barrier the Council had ever seen. Fleets measured it instantly, their scanners flashing red with warnings. The reading showed energy levels so vast that no known weapon could pierce it. The alien captains stared in disbelief. If their entire armadas fired at once, it would not even scratch that shield. And then in the blink of an eye, the shield expanded further, swallowing the Council station and all nearby fleets. It did not crush them, it did not destroy them. Instead, it wrapped them in its light like a dome of unbreakable glass. Ships powered back online suddenly. Lights flickering to life, engines humming once more. The crews gasped in relief, but their joy quickly turned to dread. For they realized what had happened. Their lives, their ships, their weapons, all were alive again. But only because the Titan had allowed it. In the chamber, silence returned. A silence so heavy it felt like stone. The Council leader whispered, "They control us completely. They give us life, they can take it again. They do not simply have weapons, they have command of the battlefield itself." His voice shook as he lowered his staff. "We are no longer the rulers here," the human voice returned, echoing across every channel. Steady and unshaken. "You have seen our strength. You have seen our choice. We do not come to destroy. We do not come to conquer, but know this, no fleet, no council, no empire may threaten Earth again." The insectoid delegate shrieked in rage. "Threaten? Who threatened you? Who gave you the right?" But his cries were drowned by the silence of everyone else. No one dared speak against the human voice. Not after what they had witnessed. The Titan's commander spoke again. "We offered peace once, you laughed, we withdrew, you mocked. You thought us gone, but we were not gone. We were preparing, we were building, now we stand here. Not as petitioners, not as beggars, but as equals, or as rulers. The choice is yours." Gasps echoed through the chamber. The reptilian commander growled but said nothing. The avian delegate lowered her wings in sorrow. The crystalline elder bowed her head. None could deny the truth of the words. Humanity had been silent, humanity had been mocked, but humanity had returned stronger than any empire had dreamed. The Council leader stood, his silver form trembling. His voice carried across the hall. "This is the moment, we must decide. We cannot fight them, we cannot ignore them. The question is whether we meet them as allies or as subjects." The delegates looked to one another, fear and uncertainty twisting every expression. Some whispered of alliances, some of surrender. A few still dreamed of rebellion. But deep in every heart was the same truth. The Titan had shown them power beyond imagination, and yet it had chosen not to kill them. That choice was a weapon in itself. Outside, the Titan floated silently, its massive shield still shimmering. The fleets around it drifted like fragile toys in its shadow. And though no further words came, its silence spoke louder than fire. Humanity was no longer a forgotten people. They were the storm on the horizon, the judgment above the stars. The first encounter had turned into revelation. and the galaxy would never be the same again. The council chamber had grown restless after the Titan's last message. Some delegates whispered about surrender, others about rebellion, but none dared to act. The shadow of the warship pressed against their thoughts like a mountain hanging over glass. Then, as if to silence the endless arguments, the Titan stirred once more. A new movement appeared on the screen, something small, almost fragile compared to the behemoth that loomed above. A shuttle detached from the Terran Titan. It glided through the void with calm precision, its design simple and sharp. Black like the parent ship but carrying faint lines of white light along its hull. Alien fleets moved instantly to intercept, but their captains hesitated. None wanted to be the one to fire on a Terran craft. None wanted to test if the Titan would tolerate such a move, and so the shuttle passed without resistance. Floating steadily toward the council station, in the chamber voices rose again. "They are boarding us," hissed the reptilian commander. "Seal the ports. Prepare guards." The insectoid delegate snapped his claws. "It is a trap. They will slaughter us from within." But the crystalline elder spoke softly. "No, this is not slaughter, this is message. If they wish to kill, we would already be ash." The shuttle docked with the council station. The sound of the airlock echoed like thunder in the hearts of those listening. Guards assembled in long rows. Weapons ready, hands trembling, doors hissed open. And from the Terran shuttle stepped a single figure. It was a man not armored, not carrying weapons, but dressed in a simple black uniform that bore no markings of rank or empire. His boots clicked softly against the station floor. His eyes, cold and calm, swept across the guards who pointed their weapons at him, but he showed no fear. He moved with the steady grace of someone who did not need to threaten, someone who already knew he was safe. The chamber screens magnified his arrival, and gasps rippled through the delegates. "Only one," muttered the avian delegate, her golden feathers trembling. "They send only one," the reptilian commander snarled. "Arrogance. They think one man can walk among us without fear," the crystalline elder whispered. "Not arrogance, certainty." The human envoy entered the council chamber. His steps echoed against the crystal floor as every eye turned to him. The chamber guards raised their weapons, but the council leader raised his hand and stopped them. "Let him speak." His silver skin shimmered faintly as he studied the Terran's face. The human stopped at the center of the chamber. His voice was calm even, yet it filled the hall as if amplified by unseen power. "You know who I am. You know what stands above you. I am not here to negotiate terms of surrender. I am not here to demand tribute. I am here to deliver one truth." He paused, his gaze sweeping across every alien present. "Earth has returned." The words sank deep into the silence. The insectoid delegate hissed angrily. "Return? Return to what? To enslave us? To demand our worlds?" The human's eyes turned to him, steady and unblinking. "To claim our place," he said simply. The insectoid shuddered and lowered his gaze. The envoy continued, his voice steady but sharp as a blade. "For centuries you mocked us, you thought us weak, you thought us gone. You warred with one another while we watched. You built empires and called yourselves rulers of the stars. But the stars remember, and so does Earth." His hand clenched at his side. "Not in anger, but in finality. We will no longer be ignored." The chamber shifted in unease. Some delegates leaned forward, captivated. Others leaned back in fear. The reptilian commander bared his teeth. "You dare threaten the council in its own chamber?" The human's gaze cut to him, cold and sharp. "I do not threaten. Commander, I remind, one Titan sits above you now, but you know in your hearts it is not alone. Do you truly believe we would reveal our strength if we had only one ship to show?" A collective murmur spread through the chamber. Whispers echoed like thunder, dozens, hundreds, thousands. How many Titans did Earth command? The thought alone made stomachs twist and hearts freeze. The avian delegate rose to her feet, her wings trembling. "If not conquest, then what? Tell us what you want," she demanded. The human's eyes softened slightly, though his voice remained steady. "Peace," he said, "but not the peace of the council, not the peace of empires built on chains and blood. We want peace where no one dares raise a weapon against Earth again. We want a galaxy where warlords do not look to our world as prey." The crystalline elder bowed her head. "And if we refuse?" she asked. Her glowing form dimmed as her voice fell to a whisper. The human envoy did not flinch. "Then you will see what restraint looks like without mercy." The council leader gripped his staff. His silver skin paling, his voice trembled. You stand before us as if we are already conquered. Yet you offer peace. Why? Why not rule? Why not command us outright? The envoy's eyes met his, and for the first time, there was a flicker of something, weariness, perhaps sadness. Because Earth does not want to rule the stars. We only want to be left unchallenged, but if you force our hand, we will rule to survive, and if we rule, none will stand against us. Silence choked the chamber. Some delegates lowered their eyes in shame. Others clenched their fists in defiance. But none could deny the truth of his words. Humanity did not ask, they declared the Terrans had returned, and the galaxy had been given a choice. The human envoy stepped back, his gaze sweeping across the room one last time. Decide quickly, he said, for the Titans do not wait. He turned and walked out. Unguarded, unhurried, every alien watched him leave. Yet no one moved to stop him. No weapon dared to fire. The sound of his footsteps lingered long after he was gone. Outside, the shuttle returned to the waiting Titan. The colossal warship drifted above the station like a dark god watching over its altar. Silent, patient, its weapons still hidden but its power undeniable. In the chamber, the council leader finally spoke, his voice hoarse. We stand at the edge of history. We must choose. And we must pray our choice is the right one. But deep down, every delegate knew the truth. The choice was no longer theirs. Humanity had already taken it, and the galaxy would never escape the shadow of Earth again. The chamber was a storm of voices after the Terran envoy left. Delegates shouted across the crystal hall, some calling for surrender, others for rebellion. A few sat frozen in silence, unable to accept what they had seen. The council leader struck his staff again and again for order. But the uproar would not die. The shadow of the Titan above was too heavy. Too absolute, the reptilian commander rose, his scales bristling. We cannot surrender. Not to one world, not to one people. The council is the law of the stars. If we bend now, we bend forever. Call the fleets. Call the armadas from every system. We will drown their titans in fire. His words were fierce, but his voice shook at the edges. He had seen what one titan could do. His fury was as much fear as pride. The avian delegate spread her wings wide and shouted back, You blind fool, did you not see the moon split? Did you not see our fleets fall silent like toys? If one titan can do this, what of 100, what of 1,000? Your armadas are dust against them. Her golden feathers shivered with every word, not from anger but from dread. The insectoid delegate slammed his claws against the crystal floor, sparks flying. Peace will be slavery. Do you not see they will make us kneel, they will strip our worlds. They will take and take until nothing remains. His antennae quivered as he hissed. Better to burn in defiance than to live in chains. The crystalline elder stood, glowing softly. Her calm presence cut through the chaos like still water over flame. Enough, she said, her voice rang clear. You all speak of fear, whether you hide it behind fury or surrender. But listen to what they said. They do not seek to rule unless forced. They want peace, true peace. Perhaps for the first time in history, the galaxy has been offered a chance to end endless wars. The chamber grew quieter. Her words pierced the storm, but the silence did not last. The council leader gripped his staff tightly. His silver skin seemed pale under the chamber lights. The Terran has given us a choice, but the choice is no choice at all. If we resist, we die. If we kneel, we live in fear. What is survival without freedom? His voice broke slightly as he said it. At that moment, a new voice spoke, not in the chamber, but across every comm screen. It was the same Terran envoy, his face calm, his eyes steady. He had returned to their channels as easily as breathing. You are divided, he said. You argue while the Titan waits. You dream of war, but your weapons are dust. You dream of defiance, but your fleets are shadows. Yet you are not wrong to fear, you are not wrong to resist. For peace means nothing without choice. The delegates froze. The chamber screens flickered with his image. His tone was neither cruel nor mocking, but heavy with certainty. So here is your choice, he continued. Stand with Earth, and we will guard you from war. Stand against Earth, and you will see what restraint looks like without mercy. Decide quickly, for the stars do not wait. The chamber fell into deeper silence than before. No one dared to speak. The reptilian commander looked ready to shout, but his mouth closed without a sound. The insectoid delegate's claws twitched but did not strike the floor. The avian delegate lowered her wings, her golden feathers folding tightly. The crystalline elder bowed her head. Her glow dimming, whispers spread slowly. Some delegates leaned toward surrender. Others clung to the dream of rebellion, but all of them shared one truth. The galaxy had never been so powerless. Not against an empire, not against a fleet, but against a single world they had dismissed as weak. The council leader finally rose, his voice trembling. "We must vote," he said. "We must decide now, before the Titan grows impatient." His words carried weight, but also despair. Every leader knew that the vote would not matter to Earth. The Terrans would act regardless. Yet the ritual of decision was all the council had left. One by one, delegates raised their hands, some for peace, some for defiance. The chamber filled with voices announcing their choice. Fear laced every word. Hope lingered in none. The vote split down the middle, half for peace, half for war. The council leader's staff glowed faintly, signaling his duty to break the tie. His hand shook as he lifted it. He looked at the chamber, at the faces of allies and rivals, at the broken pride of empires that once ruled the stars. And then he raised his voice. Peace. The word echoed. Heavy and final gasps filled the chamber. Some shouted in outrage, others in relief. The reptilian commander roared with fury. The insectoid hissed in disgust, but the avian delegate lowered her wings in quiet sorrow. The crystalline elder's glow brightened faintly, as if she had expected no other outcome. The Terran envoy's voice returned immediately, calm and steady. "So be it, you have chosen wisely. Remember this day, for today the galaxy did not fall. Today, it began to rise under a new dawn." The chamber shook with the weight of his words. Outside, the Titan warship turned slowly, drifting away from the council station. Its shadow lifted, but only slightly, for everyone knew it had not gone far. It had simply stepped back, waiting, watching. The council leader collapsed into his chair, his silver skin pale and his staff trembling in his grip. "We live," he whispered. But deep inside, he knew the truth. They lived only because Earth had allowed it. And so the galaxy entered a new age. An age where one world, once forgotten, now stood above them all the council had chosen. But the silence in their hearts knew what no vote could deny. Humanity had given them peace, but it was peace built on fear. And peace built on fear could not last forever. The Terran Titan drifted away from the council station, slow and deliberate. Its black hull swallowed the stars as it pulled back, leaving behind only silence and shattered pride. To the watching fleets, it was like a storm passing beyond the horizon. But everyone knew the storm had not ended. It had only stepped aside, waiting inside the council chamber. The delegates sat in uneasy stillness. The vote had been cast, the decision made, but no one felt victory. The avian delegate whispered, "We chose peace. But did we choose survival or chains?" The reptilian commander snarled in frustration. "We chose humiliation. We should have fought." Yet even he could not lift his gaze toward the screens where the Titan's shadow still lingered. The crystalline elder, glowing softly, answered them both. "We chose life." "That is more than some will ever have," the insectoid delegate hissed low, his claws twitching. "Life without freedom is no life at all. They will return, mark my words, they will demand more, and one day, we will bow so low that we cannot rise again." His words found nods among some of the delegates, but most sat quiet knowing the truth. They had no power to argue with Earth. Outside, ships regained control of their systems. Engines hummed back to life, weapons flickered back online. Crews breathed sighs of relief. But the relief was hollow. Every officer, every soldier knew their lives were not theirs. They had been spared, not saved. A single pulse from the Titan could have silenced them forever. That knowledge weighed heavier than any chain. The council leader sat slumped in his chair. His silver skin was pale, his staff no longer steady in his hands. He had led the galaxy through wars, treaties, and endless debates. But never had he felt so powerless. His voice cracked when he finally spoke. "We are alive today not because of our strength, but because of their mercy. Remember this, all of you. We will carry the shadow of Earth forever." His words echoed through the chamber. Heavy and bitter, some delegates nodded solemnly. Others turned away in shame. The reptilian commander hissed with fury. "Then what? Do we wait like children until they command us again? Do we cower beneath their gaze until they decide our fate?" The avian delegate whispered back, "Perhaps yes, if it means our worlds do not burn." But the crystalline elder raised her hand, glowing faintly. "Do not mistake this moment. They did not come to enslave us today. They came to warn us humanity does not want our worlds. Humanity does not want our crowns, they only want to be beyond our reach. And yet, if we push them, if we test them again, Then they will not warn a second time. Her calm voice silenced the chamber. The truth was undeniable. The Terrans had spoken with restraint. They had demonstrated power without blood. But no one doubted what would happen if the Council ignored the warning. In the void, the Titan rotated slowly, as if surveying the stars. Then its engines flared, and it began to glide away, not fast, not hurried, but with the weight of something that had already decided the future. The fleets watched, powerless to follow. Their captains knew better than to test the patience of the Colossus. Across 1,000 worlds, news spread. Holograms of the Titan filled city skies. Stories of the shattered moon raced through the colonies. Some people trembled in terror. Others whispered with awe. Some even cheered in secret. For there were those who had long hated the arrogance of the Council, and now saw humanity as avengers. Across the galaxy, the legend of Earth had returned. Back in the Council chamber, the insectoid delegate's voice rasped bitterly. We have planted the seed of our own end. If the Terrans rule, it will be because we let them. But the Council leader shook his head slowly. No, if the Terrans rule, it will be because they can. We had no choice, no power. We were only shown a glimpse of what they built in silence, and that glimpse alone shattered us. The chamber fell into silence again. Every delegate lost in their own thoughts. Some dreamed of rebellion, others of survival. But all knew the same truth. The galaxy they had known was gone. A new age had begun on the edge of known space. The Titan vanished into the stars, but its shadow stretched across every world. It was not just a ship. It was a message carved into the fabric of the galaxy. Humanity had returned, humanity was watching, and the Council knew this was only the first encounter. The crystalline elder spoke last, her voice soft and steady. We will remember today as the day the galaxy bowed. Not in chains, but in silence, the Terrans did not conquer us. They did not kill us, they simply showed us the truth. They are the power we cannot match, the storm we cannot stop. Our future depends on whether we stand beside them or beneath them. Her words hung in the chamber like prophecy. No one spoke after her, no one dared, and so the Council dispersed in quiet despair. Their argument silenced, their pride broken. Above them, the stars burned as they always had, but they no longer felt the same. For now, every world, every empire, every race knew that somewhere in the dark a Titan waited, and behind it stood a people who had chosen silence for centuries, only to return stronger than all the rest. The galaxy was not theirs anymore, it belonged to Earth, and the Council could do nothing but wait for the day humanity decided to speak again.